All right. So hi Van. Hi Vanessa.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right. So I'll be presenting and I'll be doing the onboarding for you for your role as an inbound virtual assistant. So welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So first thing that we need to know is our goal as a virtual assistant. In your case, you'll be doing inbound. As to my case, I'll be doing more on outbound and cold calls and cold text messages. But in your case, you'll be doing inbound. So basically, your goal is to recover as many qualified leads in CRM as possible under no show. All right, and enable for us to get to that point, we also need to understand what qualified leads mean. So the way I see it, qualified leads. I mean, not everyone that you call in CRM, will be committed to, to make sure that they show up on the next appointment that you're gonna set. So the important thing that we need to make sure of is that when we do get in touch with those leads and when we do set up appointments for them, we need to also make sure that they're going to be committed in showing up on the next appointment. All right. Any questions, Van, before we move on?
None at this time.
Okay. All right. So I mean, it's actually easier said than done, but I mean, over time, as we learn as we go and as we move along, we'll be able to pick up a thing or two. But in my experience, these five things help me a lot in setting up appointments with quality. So I mean, these five things: familiarization of the script, delivery of the script, research before contact, communicate with certainty, and force no to gauge the lead's commitment. Okay. So for familiarization of the script, um, we all know that in the sales training, Vico introduced a virtual assistant appointment setter script that we got used to of that we use when we cold call. But in this case, since it's warmer than a cold call, and the people that we're gonna call already knows what we're gonna do. I have formulated a very short script. It has our help one liner, our hook, and just simple conversations that would get our leads to agree to reschedule another appointment to talk to Vico or to talk to our closers. The next thing is how we deliver the script or the delivery of the script. I mean, this number two, can be practiced. So I mean, I'm sure, uh, give or take maybe a week or maximum of two weeks, you'll be able to get to the mastery of the script when you try to recover those leads in no show. The third part is for me the most important part because it will give us the edge when we call the leads in CRM is to research before we try to contact them. I mean, how we do this, Van, is uh, we always need to make sure that we use the notes in CRM. You are familiar with the notes, right?
Yes, I am.
If you remember yesterday, we tried, navigating and sharing tips. You also shared me, uh, things that would also help me when I navigate CRM. So when before you give your leads a call to recover, it's always best to check the notes, because sometimes Vico already talked to them, or sometimes I already call them and they're not interested, or they're already interested, but they chose, a date that's, maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now. It's always best, it's always best to, to be one step, two steps ahead of, of the people that we talk to. Just for us to be prepared, just for us to be, just for us to know, what the next step that we need to take, to grab that up, to grab that next appointment for them, if that makes sense. All right. So next is to communicate with certainty. um during our interview with Vico, Vico always talks about clarity, certainty, um because every time you communicate with certainty, even if you're not 100% sure of what of what the topic is, if you communicate with certainty, it gives the impression to the one that you're talking to that, you're in control. You know what you're talking about, and you're going to lead them to the right direction. So I mean, like I said, it's easier said than done, but as you gain more knowledge of what we're doing, as you gain more knowledge of the product, of the service, certainty grows within us. And lastly, force no to gauge commitment. As important as researching before contact, it's also important for us to do a force no to gauge commitment. We're going to talk about force no in the next slide, but doing a force no basically is, it's like making sure that the customer is saying yes. I mean, making sure that the lead is saying yes because they are really going to, commit themselves to the appointment that you're going to set, not, just saying yes, just for the heck of it. So I mean, so that's it for this slide. Do you have any questions, Van, before we move on? We're going to talk about force no on the next slide.
Yeah, I do have a question about first now. So if we're going to talk about it, then I'm good for this slide right
Okay.
here.
All right. All right. So you are familiar with the one helpliner. We've talked about this yesterday. So the original one helpliner is, we help real estate agents and mortgage brokers all across Australia get 10 to 20 get 20 to 30 first home buyers or sellers that wants to list consistently. That's the original hook or what we call the one helpliner. But the way I see it, and based on my experience, it, the other, the second line that says, we help real estate agents and mortgage brokers across Australia get 10 to 20 guaranteed appraisals for their agency in the next coming month. That's actually more catchy, and it's easier for the, for the people that we talk to, for the leads, to understand, what we're trying to get at. And for those who don't understand, I mean, in a deeper, deeper meaning of it, for those who don't understand, it's easier for them to say yes, because it sounds more, it sounds better, and it sounds like you're going to uh introduce business into their agency. if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
for you, Van, what do you think is better, the first, the first one or the second one?
Yeah, and I'm looking at it.
I mean, the first one is, we help real estate
Guarantee.
agents and mortgage brokers. Either supposed to be an end, between estate agents, brokers across
Mm, I,
Australia. Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
Van.
I was just gonna say that um it almost means the same thing for me. The second one is more affirmative, like when you say guaranteed appraisals. Although what I'm thinking right now while I'm reading it is that it can sound too salesy. Like there's a promise of guaranteed appraisal, which is normally what salespeople would really be saying so that they can lure you to get their service. But this one is more like more time bound. Like it tells you that it's going to happen in the next coming months, while the first one doesn't have a timeline really. So if I am to be pitched the second statement, then I know exactly what I'm going to look forward to and when I'm going to look forward to a result. So, yeah, I'm thinking I would probably be using the second one if I am to make calls, only because it's more complete for me.
That's a very good observation, Van. Yes, I would have to agree. On the first one helpliner, it's vague. So, when we use this, we we tend to, we tend to we tend to, um, talk to, we tend to have questions from the leads, more questions about the leads, which we really can't answer, because what our role is to simply set an appointment. So if they have questions about first home buyers, if they have questions about, sellers that want to list consistently, we really don't know what to say next, um, compared to the second one, which is more direct. Although it says guarantee, um, yeah, although it says guarantee, it's more, sales like and more pitchy, but it's direct to the point. So if they're interested, if they're a little bit interested, then they're gonna lean towards yes. If they're really not interested, then they're gonna say no. So it actually, lifts the pressure of our shoulders, because if they're interested or a little interested, they're gonna be interested. But if they're really not interested, then they're not going to be interested. So, it actually, shortens down, shortens down the filter of the people that we're going to talk to, compared if we're going to use the first one, which is very vague. So they're going to have a lot of questions. Plus, um, they're going to have a lot of questions in their mind. If they're just a little bit interested, more interested but has questions, it's gonna narrow down. It's gonna be narrowed down. So for me, it will help. It will make our jobs a lot easier if we use, if the second one. But it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt, Van, if we experiment, use the first one, or maybe, like I said, we learn as we go. So I'm sure that you're also gonna pick up a thing or two. You can also try to formulate your own one helpliner and see, if it works better. And if so, I would really appreciate it if you also share it with me.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds like a plan.
All
I was
right.
talking. It's just that I was on mute.
Okay. All right. So, any more questions about the one helpliner? The one helpliner is just one statement, but we use it a lot. So, um, yeah, for me, it's very important.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So let's move on. So I think the next one is the force no. Oh, no, no. This is the script. This is the script for follow up calls. The next script. Oh, okay. So the next two slides, we're gonna go to the force no. Um, so this is the script that I formulated. It's actually not a script that I formulated. It's just usually how the conversation would go. Um, so say for example, um, you're gonna call someone from you're gonna call someone from. So this is the example. Someone from no show. So so say it's Stella Property. So we call the lead's name is Kate. This is usually how the conversation goes. So, hi, Kate. This is Vanessa. How are you? Or how have you been? Either one of the two, which you can. I just place it there for variation. So usually they're gonna say, of course, good. As most Australians are very polite, they would say good, and would also ask, how are you? This is how I do the follow up call. So I was asked by Vico to call you about bringing in 10 to 20 guaranteed appraisals for your agency in the next coming months. Um, and then I would, I mean, Vico always reminds me to ask permission questions like, is this a good time to talk, or is now a good time to talk? Just to connect with the customer, with the lead, I think more, or to show courtesy, maybe if they're busy or whatnot. um and after that, if they say yes, then I understand that you and Vico were supposed to have a call meeting back in. So if we check the date under notes, it's gonna show when they no showed. Yeah, so I understand that you and Vico were supposed to have a meeting back in March, say March the 21st, yesterday. And maybe you two were just too busy, but that meeting did not push through. So I'm just calling to check what happened, and if you're still interested, blah 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 blah. So this is how the the conversation would go.
Mm.
But based on your experience yesterday, Van, I know that you've already talked to a few people under no show, right?
Yeah.
How did it go?
Mm, they are a no show for a reason. I felt like majority, I would say all of the people that I spoke with were people who are not interested based on my assessment of their tone and how they responded. They're not interested anymore. That's why they did not follow through with the appointment. There were two people whom I spoke with, and they were attentively listening, but then when I asked them when they'd like to reschedule, they chose to hang up on me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 80% if you ask me. Um, on an estimate, I mean, on my estimate, 80% of the time, 80% of the people under no show are not interested. Uh, it's either not interested, or I mean, it's either they're not interested, or they're just giving us false hope. Uh, 20% 20% are those people that just those people that I wouldn't say interested. It's just that they were caught up in maybe a family emergency, or there were clashes in their meetings that clashed with ours. But I wouldn't say not interested. So I mean, our goal is really to mm, really to get to the 20%, and you know convert the 20%. I mean confirm if the 20% are interested or not, and convert them into appointments. So
Yeah.
basically, so most of the time, really most of the time, we're gonna hear no's, or we're gonna hear alibis from them.
Yeah, even had that the first call that I did yesterday was it went okay, and he said the reason he missed the appointment was he got caught up with so many tasks, and then I asked him when he'd like to reschedule, and then he said that he's booked for the rest of the month, for the next 3 weeks actually was what he said. So I felt that he was just being polite to turn me down, but yeah, we have a follow up with him on the second week of April.
Okay. I mean, and actually, um, that's where forced no comes into play. Um, I mean, I mean, I mean, I trust you when you say they're not, they're not interested. If you feel that they're not interested, if I call them, that it most probably, I'm gonna feel the same way. I'm gonna feel that this person is also not interested. But that's where force no comes into play, because sometimes what they say really, is not what they mean. I mean, sometimes, maybe 10% of the time, what they say is not what they mean. So that's where forced no comes into play, because when we ask, these forced no questions that we're gonna talk about later, and this is and forced no is was taught to me, of course, by Vico, to make sure that the clients that we're gonna I mean, that the clients, if they're not interested, then we dump them into lost. I mean, I mean, what I meant by lost is we take them off. We take them off CRM, or if they're really interested, because if you already push them away and they keep coming back, then that means that there is a possibility that they are really interested, and we can set them for another appointment.
Yeah, I was able to move two people in that bin where you move them as lost, tag them as lost.
Okay.
So I did that yesterday. Um, I do have a question though. Like when we do outbound calls and you notice already that we've been blacklisted by someone, would you still call them? Like,
um here's what Vika told me. Actually, when I was starting working for Vico, he didn't give me the authorization to put people under no show to lost, uh not until maybe a few months ago. He always wants, but if you're really sure that there are for if you're really sure that they're not interested, and you want them off the CRM, because of course it takes a lot of time, energy, just to go back to these people and follow up and follow up and follow up, and in the end they're really not interested. So if you're really sure, and what Vico told me, if we're really sure that they're not interested, just do a Loom call and put the Loom link under notes. So when he checks it himself, he can listen to the call, and he will have peace of mind that these people that we put to lost or abandoned are really people that are fit to be put there.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry. I got approval from Vico because
Okay. All right. If that's the case, all good.
I felt that you got nervous there. But yeah,
No, no, no.
when I did the reporting yesterday of what I did, and he looked at the documentations I made for each individual that I tried to engage, he said that the people who hang up,
Yeah.
they can be moved to lost. And yeah,
Okay.
so I have another person, but I did like you. I think you spoke with her, Shaktika, on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
17th, and she was supposed to send
Shocked.
us an email. Shaktika is how she pronounced her name on the voicemail recording. So we were supposed to get an email as to when she'd like to rebook her appointment, but I don't think we have gotten that. And then when I checked the conversation, it shows that she has already unsubscribed. Therefore, we're like the messages that we're sending her through email are not coming through.
I see.
So in situations like that, do we consider it as her not really interested, but was just being polite when she said that she will get back to us through email because obviously she couldn't
I mean, that's a
send
very
us an
good.
email.
That's a very good question, Vanessa. I'm really old fashioned. I'm really old fashioned when it comes to that. So I mean, even if they maybe because when I was starting, Vico always tells me to not waste a lead. I mean, before we had so few. We just had so few. Now we have a lot. But I was just used to Vico telling me to make sure that even if they don't reply, even if we're blocked off emails of their email, of them receiving our email, to still give them a call. So maybe for me, I would give them a call, but it's your judgment, Van. If you think that, I mean, it's, I mean, if you think that they're supposed, if you think that we're just gonna waste time and effort in calling, in calling them, you can put them into lost, because they are, there will be so much more leads that will put into, there will be so much more new appointments that we'll be putting in each and every day, uh you know rather than us spending, wasting time on these people that already blocked us. So yeah,
Mm.
I would probably have to agree with you, but it's just that I'm a little old fashioned, so I probably try to give them a call, maybe
I
once or
did call her.
twice. Yeah, that's
I
right.
called her and I sent her an SMS also.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide.
Yep,
All right, so if the lead says, I think we already discussed this. Yeah. So if the lead
shoot for
says
sale.
they were busy, clashed with another meeting, family matter, do a forced note to gauge their commitment in showing up in the next appointment. So in what we've talked about earlier, the questions, when we brainstormed earlier before we move to this slide, this is, in a nutshell, this is what we talked about. So um, like I said, not everything that they say is what they mean. I mean, 10% of the time maybe, but based on our experience, and of course based on your experience, Van, I know that you've been doing this a very long time. You've already achieved a lot of things,
Mm.
and just by the way the people talk, just by their tonality, just by their short pauses, you already know if they're telling the truth. You already know if they're gonna be there, they're interested or not. But well, like I said, it's not, it won't harm us if if we just do one precaution, like doing a force no, just to make sure. Or I know that we're already sure, but just to add an
Yeah.
additional backup, just to
Mm.
see maybe if that small percentage would go through. So if so, then we have a little plan B put in place just in case that happens. So this is what force no would do for us. So there, so your question earlier is, what is a force no? Force no is a term that Vico uses to make sure that that the lead that we're talking to is really interested in talking to Vico. Maybe 50%, when we get to this point, maybe 50% of them already know that what we have for them. Maybe 50% just have a rough idea of what we want to discuss when we reschedule another appointment and they talk to Vico. um but nevertheless, we just want to make sure that they're interested. If they're half-hearted, we want to know if they're half-hearted towards they're interested, or they're half-hearted towards they're not interested. Because if it goes the other way, then they might just say yes, and not show up again. So it's gonna be an endless cycle of us wasting our energy to call and call and call and call them again, and them saying yes, yes, next week, next week, next week, and it's just gonna be an endless cycle. So by doing a forced no right then and there, we're gonna find out if they're really interested or they're not, and they're just being polite. So there, it's a forced no. Oh, and this in the second line, if you notice, Vanessa, um, we can also use, I understand your time is valuable and so is ours. And please excuse the I. It's supposed to be supposed to be in caps. So I just want to confirm that this is something you see beneficial for your agency. I remember Vico also telling me that we can there's nothing to lose. So I mean, if we feel that there's nothing to lose, we just do a force no. um I know, as Filipinos, we're naturally polite, but for if you just feel like it, you can say, I understand your time is valuable, so is ours. And I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you wasting our time and my boss's time as well. So I just want to make sure that this is something that you would like to see further for your business, or you would like to talk more about your business, or maybe as direct as, I just want to make sure that you're really gonna show up on the next appointment that we're gonna set. We can do that, Van. I mean, it may I mean, as we see fit, as you see fit, Van. You can be polite when you think that this person, you can get through this person if by being polite. I think you also understand if you think that being direct or being aggressive would make it easier for you to get through this person, then I mean we can use those approach as we see fit.
Okay.
Ayun. So I mean, do you have questions regarding first no?
I don't.
Okay. All right. So we're almost through CRM. So this is um mostly what we're gonna use in recovering those leads, because this is the only way that we can get access to those leads is CRM. So getting familiar with the CRM. So basically there are just three, um I don't know how, I don't know what you call these. I don't know what you call, I don't know what you call these, but I call these tabs if I'm correct. So there are only three tabs that I use, or we use to to access those leads, or to access the text messaging system that we have to communicate with those leads, and to access information about the leads that we're gonna call. So it's conversation, opportunity, and contacts. These are tabs. I'm gonna move on to the next slide. So these are three tabs that we use 90% of the time when we work. When we work and we try to recover those leads. So, all right. Sorry. So, on the screenshot that I've put in here, it doesn't show, but on the real CRM, when you hover your mouse here, it's gonna show you conversation.
Mm.
See, when you hover your mouse here, it's supposed to show conversation. It's just that when I tried to do the screenshot, it the pop-up window popped back in. And when you go here, it's gonna show opportunity, and when you go here, it's gonna show contacts. So we don't have to focus on contacts, because what we usually do is to go here, conversation, to check the previous conversation. So say for example, Kate Walsh. Kate Walsh was a lead that was supposed to talk to Vico yesterday. If you see, um, it looks like Vico is trying to call Kate, and Kate tried calling Vico back, but I think Vico was talking to someone else. So when she, I mean, this is a lead that will show up, but it looks like she just called Vico at the wrong time, and Vico called her at the wrong time. So from what I see, this is Katie Walsh is a good candidate of being recovered back, and uh, I think you can easily set up another appointment for Katie Walsh for Kate Walsh based on the conversation and there, so we can see all those information through conversation. So this is opportunities. When we click on this tab, I mean, when you click on this symbol, it's gonna take us to the CRM, the whole all the opportunity that we have under CRM. Opportunity basically is information about the lead, their company, their all the information we have. We put all in all into a file. It's called opportunity. If that makes sense. It's I mean it's called opportunity under, maybe it's a in a CRM language or what, but yeah, that's what we call a information about a company all rolled into one. It's an opportunity under CRM. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Like with my other job, we call that the pipeline, so that
Pipeline,
you
yeah.
can follow along where the client is at or the lead is at. So it's like the reason it was called, if I can just share what I know, and I'm not
Yes,
sure if
yes.
it applies to Vico, but it's called opportunity because you have the opportunity to look at the client and then watch as they move over, and that gives you an opportunity to actually strategize whether what you need to do for that particular client so that you can move them over as a new client, as an actual client, and not just a lead or a prospect.
That's actually um that's actually more accurate. And yes, Vico, that's more likely how Vico would describe what an opportunity is. Yes, that's more accurate. That's a more accurate description of what an opportunity is. All right, and so contact. So we only go to contact because sometimes when you do cold calls and you set an appointment for a lead, um, what happens is the CRM for some reason does not create an opportunity for the lead that the set an appointment for. So when that happens, it's a rare case, but when it happens, if you can find the opportunity under opportunities, and you want to create manually an opportunity for this lead, then that's the time you go to contact, and you'll find there the contact name. So say for example it's Kate Walsh, and you will see there create an opportunity for this certain contact, and you can do that. Although it's a very rare case, it's always nice, it's always good to know how to do it when it happens. And you can do it by going to contact, looking for the name of the lead, and just simply creating a contact manually for that lead. So there. I mean, and any other questions about? I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with CRM.
No,
But
not
I mean,
so much.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're. I mean, you know more uh about CRM because I see that you're more familiar because your other job is more on CRM management, right?
Like,
Okay. All right. Okay. So I mean, do you have any more questions about
sorry,
CRM?
say, tell me again how what you use the contact for.
Oh yeah. So sometimes. if you remember when we do the cold emails, Van, when we do the cold calls before, when you set an appointment, it automatically creates an opportunity like this. When you create an appointment before, remember when you
Mm.
when you first started, maybe 2 months ago, if you remember, when you create an appointment, it automatically creates an opportunity like this for this lead, Kate Walsh, example, Kate Walsh. But sometimes, um, very rare case, but sometimes it only creates a it only creates an appointment under Google Calendar, and it only creates a contact under Kate Walsh, but it doesn't create an opportunity with information about Kate Walsh, her company name, and all other, all other information. So when that happens, if you want to manually create an opportunity for Kate Walsh, say for example, Kate Walsh, if you want to create an opportunity for her manually, we just go to contacts and look for her name and manually create it. So basically,
Okay.
we can what we can see under contacts are all the contacts that we have in CRM,
Just like a phone book.
like a phone book. That's right. All right, so other tools being used is Skype,
Mhm.
which I'm sure that you're already familiar. Slack for internal communication. Usually, when it's just you and Vico working, uh, Vico prefers Slack because it's faster. I mean, Vico would prefer AirMeet, but we had the same issue where AirMeet loads slower. I mean, it doesn't load that quick, and it takes time, before we can use it. Now I don't think I have a problem with AirMeet anymore, but before I had, AirMeet really takes a long time. So instead of Vico, uh Vico and I talking, easier, it actually makes it more harder. So, but AirMeet, we use AirMeet if there are multiple people, because AirMeet has, a conference feature that, three or more people that, can use, like a walkie-talkie, like just like when we do Slack with Vico.
Mhm.
And yeah, Zoom for meetings. So I'm not sure if Vico would add other apps that we can use for communication, but these are the four most used tools. And so that's the end of the presentation. So welcome back, Van. I'm gonna end this presentation with a mantra that Vico, um, as always tells me to do before I start my work, is to say to myself that my certainty will overcome their doubts. So it helped me because uh if every time I say this to myself, your certainty will overcome their doubts. Every time I do that, it gives me confidence that every time I talk to someone, all I have to do is just to just to uh, give my not my best, but just to show confidence, uh, that I know enough of what I'm going to say, enough of what Vicolize online consultant has to offer, enough enough knowledge of what enough knowledge, enough experience, to make sure that when I talk to a person, I get the job done. So I hope this also helps. This is the mantra that Pico um, told me that might help me, and it helped me. So you can also use it, and hopefully, this will also help you when you start your work and when you do your work every day. So thank you, Van, and welcome back.
Thank you also for the time.